This scandal became prevalent in 1996 when Washington Post journalists Bob Woodward and Brian Duffy published a story claiming the DOJ investigation into the Democratic Party's fundraising activities found some inconsistencies. The story claimed the DOJ investigation uncovered evidence that agents of China attempted to direct contributions from foreign services to the DNC for presidential and congressional benefits before the 1996 election. The Washington Post said the Chinese embassy in Washington was used as a focal point for coordinating contributions to the DNC, which would violate USA law that states non-American citizens nor non-American institutions have access of donating funds to a political organization. During Bill Clinton's last years as president, he issued a series of presidential pardons for various groups of individuals over a vast array of crimes. In particular, 16 members of a Puerto Rican paramilitary group responsible for setting off 120 bombs in the U.S., the majority of them in Chicago and New York. Bill Clinton, with Hillary's blessing, pardoned the group as long as they said they will no longer commit violence. The pardons were opposed by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and the Federal Bureau of Prisons, as well as dozens of victims involved by the group's violent tendencies. Congress condemned the president's actions with a vote of 95-2 in the Senate and 311-41 in the House. The Committee on Government Reform held an investigation on the matter, but the Clinton administration prevented FBI officials from testifying. Clinton used his executive privilege to refuse to send over documents to Congress related to the pardons. One person who was pardoned, Mark Rick, has donated over $1.5 million to the Clinton Library and Democratic campaigns, while friends, business partners, lawyers, and advisors of Mark Rick have donated millions to the Clintons in the decade that followed the scandal. Clinton also pardoned 4 out of the 15 arrested in the Whitewater real estate scandal. Filegate was a scandal in 1996 which focused on FBI security clearance files being improperly dispersed. Craig Livingston, director of the White House's Office of Personal Security, improperly requested and received background information on hundreds of individuals without asking permission. The scandal became prominent due to the victims of the released documents, which included members from past Republican administrations, including top presidential advisors. Allegations rose that Hillary Clinton was responsible for requesting and reading the files for political purposes, as well as authorizing Craig Livingston's appointment as Director of Personal Security, despite his lack of experience. The House Reform and Oversight Committee, as well as the Senate Judiciary Committee, conducted investigations into the affair. Eventually, independent counsel Kenneth Starr exonerated Bill and Hillary from any wrongdoing. The Cattlegate scandal came to light in 1994 when Hillary Clinton became First Lady, and it involved allegations of criminal mischief in the 1970s. In 1978 and 79, Hillary Clinton engaged in cattle future contracts. Her initial investment of $1,000 generated close to $100,000 in a span of 10 months. Allegations of bribery were soon brought to light due to the spectacular rate of return. Hillary's success was questioned by many. The editor of the Journal of Future Markets said in April 1994, quote, "This is like buying ice skates one day and entering the Olympics a day later. She took some extraordinary risks." End quote. USA Today, in a 4-week study in April 1994, concluded that Hillary Rodham Clinton had some special treatment while winning a small fortune in commodities. No charges were ever brought against Hillary, but questions regarding her possible illegal activities are still questioned today. Travelgate happened in 1993 when 7 employees of the White House Travel Office were randomly fired and replaced with friends of Bill and Hillary Clinton, including cousin to Bill Clinton, Catherine Cornelius. Director of the travel office, Billy Dale, who worked in the travel office since JFK, was arrested and charged with embezzlement, an unwarranted charge he was innocent of. Eventually, he was found not guilty of the crime, but he claims his life had been ruined by the affair. Billy Dale received a suspicious call from an unnamed man, who later turned out to be Darnell Martins, a partner in a travel agency called TRM with Harry and Linda Bloodworth Thomason, close friends of Bill and Hillary Clinton. Darnell asked how he can get into the charter business for profit. Dale refused to make arrangements with Darnell. He believes his refusal to help Darnell was the catalyst for the sinister events that followed. An investigation by Congress discovered Harry Thomason had numerous conversations with Hillary Clinton about taking over White House charters, tying Hillary to the scandal. According to D.D. Myers, press secretary for the Clintons, Dale and others were fired for criminal misconduct, and the FBI was being called in for an investigation. The FBI investigation turned up no evidence on Dale and the others. Their conclusion was Dale and the others were honest individuals. Dale refused a plea deal on his embezzlement charge, which would have been a fine and a small jail sentence, on the grounds that he would not be allowed to profess his innocence. He took his chance in court for his own integrity. The jury came back with a not guilty verdict in less than 2 hours. The Whitewater scandal is one of the more convoluted Clinton scandals. It involved the investigation into the real estate holdings of Bill and Hillary Clinton and their partners James and Susan McDougal about a failed business venture by the Whitewater Development Corporation. In the spring of 1978, McDougal made a proposition to Bill and Hillary Clinton to buy 220 acres of undeveloped land near Flippin, Arkansas. The goal was to subdivide the site into lots for vacation homes for those interested in fishing, rafting, mountain scenery, and low property taxes. The four of them borrowed $230,000 to buy land, then transferred ownership to the Whitewater Development Corporation, which all four had equal shares in. However, due to an interest rate hike in 1979, potential buyers could not afford to buy vacation homes. Instead of accepting defeat, the four decided to build a model home and wait for better economic conditions. After the failure of their venture, McDougal asked the Clintons for funds to pay off interest on the loan and other expenses the four of them had. Later, the Clintons claimed they had no knowledge on what these payments would be used for. In 1980, Bill Clinton failed to win his re-election bid for governor, and Jim McDougal lost his job as the governor's economic aide. McDougal decided to go into banking. He purchased the Bank of Kingston and Woodruff Savings and Loan, renaming them the Madison Bank and Trust and the Madison Guaranty Savings and Loan, respectively. After some shady dealings by McDougal, federal regulators began questioning the financial stability and lending practices of Madison Guaranty, such as insider lending and heft commissions paid to McDougal and others. McDougal, who owed the Clintons a $50,000 debt, held a fundraiser for Bill Clinton, who was once again running for governor of Arkansas. Investigators discovered some of the money that was fundraised was done so improperly. McDougal then hired Rose Law Firm, where Hillary Clinton was partner at, to do legal work for the ailing savings and loan. Hillary and another Rose lawyer began seeking regulatory approval for a recapitalization plan at Madison. While starting a construction plan, McDougal borrowed $300,000 from a company owned by David Hale, who later claimed he was forced to pay by Bill Clinton. Eventually, Madison Guaranty collapsed due to the shady dealings surrounding the company, from Robert Palmer, who inflated estimates during his many appraisals for Madison, to David Hale's small business investment company being used as a pass-through to generate additional funds for Madison, as well as the loan bank board examiner Jim Clark discovering the purchase of the Casa Grande project, being funded illegally. The collapse of Madison created the necessity for a government bailout, which cost the taxpayers $60 million. In May 1995, Hillary Clinton claimed she knew nothing about any of Madison's real estate parcels and projects, despite being Madison's attorney. However, the billing records for the Rose Law Firm were discovered in the book room family quarters of the White House, which showed Hillary charged Madison and Seth Ward for 30 hours of work in a span of 4 months in 1985 and 1986. Hillary stated she was not sure how the billing records got there, nor could she remember 15 conversations she had with Seth Ward. Vince Foster, who also was another partner at the Rose Law Firm, filed 3 years of delinquent Whitewater corporate tax returns. 1 month later, Vince Foster was found dead in Washington Park. The police ruled it as a suicide, though to this day, there is still speculation about the matter of death. Within hours of Vince Foster's death, Chief White House Counsel Bernard Nussbaum entered Foster's office and removed a series of files, some of them concerning the Whitewater Development Corporation, and gave them to Maggie Williams, Chief of Staff to the First Lady, Hillary Clinton. This happened before law enforcement was allowed to access Foster's office. There is speculation on whether any files were destroyed during this transfer. Eventually, numerous people were charged with a vast array of crimes, from obstruction of justice to fraud, from bribery to embezzlement, and poor loaning practice to contempt of court. Hillary Clinton was also the First Lady to be subpoenaed by Congress to testify regarding the Whitewater fraud. She and Bill were both found innocent of involvement. In March 2015, it became publicly known that Hillary Clinton was using a private email account and server to conduct State Department business. This action was against State Department regulations and possibly be in violation of U.S. law. Allegations arose that there was classified material on her private server. This was vehemently denied by Secretary Clinton. She claimed absolutely no classified material was sent or received on her email server, a claim that was debunked by the FBI at the conclusion of their investigation. The FBI investigated Hillary's private server to determine if any laws were broken by her actions of privatizing governmental policy. The FBI concluded that Hillary lied numerous times to the American people regarding her server. She claimed she used one device, but really she used 13. She claimed she didn't send or receive classified material, but 113 emails contained classified material at the time they were sent, including 65 being deemed secret and 22 deemed top secret. In the end, the FBI investigation concluded that Hillary was in fact in violation against federal statutes. However, due to the inability to understand her actions, she was exonerated based on the conclusion that she was not smart enough to realize what she was doing was wrong, a decision that is still questioned today. The private server fiasco is still prevalent in today's society due to the release of more emails using the Freedom of Information Act, which may imply a link between the Clinton Foundation and State Department policies, representing a pay-to-play scenario. The drama is also reinforced due to the surreptitious meeting between Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch days before Hillary's interview with the FBI. Furthermore, recent reports confirm that Hillary Clinton and her staff have erased over 30,000 emails they deemed as personal material not relative to the FBI probe. This was disproven by Judicial Watch, a conservative, nonpartisan foundation, who were able to recover 15,000 of those emails by locating them on the servers of some of Hillary's aides. Hillary's deletion of emails is also questioned due to the method used to erase them, which was by an encryption tool, BleachBit, specifically used to completely erase all material from a server. This arises questions. Why must emails regarding yoga and messages to Chelsea be erased in such a manner that would deem them unrecoverable? And what possible motive could there be to hide such material? Hillary Clinton's emails have been very detrimental to her campaign due to her public statements contradicting her private email statements, such as the real reason Benghazi imploded. Inevitably, more details will emerge regarding the email issue, but the real question is, if a family has so many scandals in their political careers, is it unlikely to assume that more will follow them to the White House? And what can this mean for the future of America?